Welcome back to another episode of the Sky Society podcast. Today, I am so excited to be chatting with Richa Mangal. She is the head of marketing at Amazon Business and has 10 years of very diverse business experience. So thrilled to chat with you today. Welcome, Richa.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Natalie, for having me and talk about my career journey. Super excited to share all the adventures I've had, and uh,
Yes.
and we'll be happy to answer any questions if you have for me.
Amazing. Yes. An adventure is a really great way, I think, to describe your career journey because you have such a diverse background and have really followed your passions into many different areas, which we're going to dive into. But before we jump into all of that, can you tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. As you said, my name is Richa, Rich with an A. A lot of people call me Rika, Risha, Rika, and I'm like, I'm okay with all of that. I'm Rich with an A, and that's how people have loved my name.
I
So
like the way you say that. I'm rich with an A. Beautiful.
yes, so that's me. I am right now mother of 3.5-year-old.
Oh,
Um, yes, she's my biggest inspiration to just keep on going in life. That's what she does all the time, keeps me on my toes. So managing work, managing her, and then of course family. So we live in Seattle, Washington. I moved to the States about 6 years ago from India. I belong to India. I'm still an Indian. I've been born and raised in central part of India. I'm super culturally ingrained with the Indian festivals, food, music, art,
mm,
everything about India. I'm trying to get more used to the new lifestyle I'm in the States and accepting the new culture. It is amazing to meet people from so many different backgrounds, and I love having conversations with people who have different career journeys or have come from different walks of life. So that's about me. My passion is, of course, looking at numbers. That's what I do all day. Of course, looking at new business ideas. I'm entrepreneur at heart. I ran my company for about 8 years in India, which was into design, and then I came here to the States, and then with Amazon I was also working on a side hustle, which was into home decor and subscription and all of that. We can get into all of that. So I'm very entrepreneur at heart. I still have a passion for owning my own business one day. Apart from all this, I love dancing. I am a trained classical dancer.
oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah, so whenever I get some time after the chores and my daughter, I do take time to just dance. So that's pretty much about me.
That is beautiful. A very round and warm picture of who you are. I loved hearing all of that. How was transitioning from, I guess you've only been in the States for a couple of years now. So transitioning from India to now working in the US, was it like a really, really big shift for you, or had you like visited a lot to where it was kind of an easy transition? What was that like for you?
It was, I would say it was mixed because I've been traveling a lot. Like, so I traveled a
Mhm.
lot of countries, so it was easier for me to adapt to the whole new setup. Of course, the weather was a big change. The way
Especially in
people,
Seattle.
especially in Seattle, so the weather was a big change for me, definitely. But other than that, I think it was never overwhelming for me. It was people made it very comfortable for me when I came here. So when I came into the States, I did not right away join Amazon. I was looking for roles. I wanted to find out what I really want to do in my life next. So I did join UW, University of Washington, to do my executive MBA, which was a great learning for me to get to know people here. So I met a lot of friends. They made me feel comfortable in the country. And then I joined a startup, which was run by a woman. She was young college graduate. She started a STEM subscription box uh, startup for young girls, and I was very passionate about this idea. So I joined her, and that gave me an insight into how people think, how people live here, and that was my training for first 6 months in the States. So yes, it was it was a big change, but people here made it so comfortable for me to get adapted in this new environment. And I would say I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about the culture, about people, which is great.
It looks like you kept busy too when you moved here. No, no, it didn't take time to relax.
That's true.
Okay, let's go back to you when you were in India. You mentioned that you had your own interior design business. And so obviously now you work in marketing. So I know there's a lot of different jobs and journeys along the way. But where does this passion for interior design come from? And what made you want to start your own business?
Oh, sure. That's a great question. So I would say my passion for design started when I was back in like high school, like 10th standard, I think. I was in high school, and we just bought a house, and we were like, in India, my father bought a house and we were just doing the house. And I was like, wow, this is something I'm super passionate about. I was great at academics. Like all my teachers wanted me to do some masters in economics and, write a PhD paper and all of that. And my passion lied in design. So there was always a conflict between my parents, my teachers, and myself, like deciding what really I wanted to do. And it's the whole Indian culture where your parents and your teachers and you are like all together when taking your career decision. So it was quite tiring to convince them that yes, I'm good at academics, but my passion is about design. So I was the black sheep. Like everybody wanted me to pursue a master's in economics or business or become a CPA, but I wanted to be the design student. So I got into a design college and I did really well there. Then I did some internships and people loved my work. So I started my own firm in India for design, which was into interior design, product design, space planning and decor and everything. And yeah, I did that for about 8 years. While I was doing that, I also joined a university, a school, a design school over there to teach design, to take some classes with the students and train them. And students loved the way how I taught design and design history of design and art. Um, and that made me think that, yeah, I'm really good at the way I teach design history. So I thought I should do more research. So I started doing masters in history. That's what I took, like a break from design. While I was practicing design, I also started studying history of design, and I did my master's in arts and majored in history. Um,
Wow.
yeah, that's what I did. And as I said, my parents and my teachers always wanted me to be like, you're such a bright student, you should like, pursue, like you're good at numbers, you're good at accounts, you should like, become a business person. And I was like, okay. So while all this was happening, just to keep them happy, I was also studying business,
Oh
like
my
on the side.
God.
Yeah, I used to work, I used to study. It was like a long day that I invested. So it was all happening in parallel. And so I did my bachelor's in commerce, I did my design degree, and then did my master's in arts, and then also did my MBA. All of that happened in like 7, 8 years back in India, like everything together. So I was hustling a lot.
That is insane. And so you have 3 master's degrees and 2 bachelor's degrees. Is that correct?
Correct. I do. So one in commerce, one in design, then 2 MBAs, one from India, one from UW, and then I have masters in arts, majoring in history. So yeah, I do have 5 degrees.
Would you go back for any more?
Oh my God, yes, I would. So I always wanted to do a PhD, so write a paper on
Uh,
art and architecture of India and other regions, like how the the structures do inspire us still to make our houses. So I did want to write that paper. Let's see if I get an opportunity.
well, you're recorded here now, so now you got to go do it.
For sure, if definitely if I get an opportunity, I would love to do that. Take some break and get back to design. I sometimes do miss design, but it's fair. I enjoy what I'm doing right now. So Yeah, you will ask me and think like she's crazy. She was doing design, now she's at Amazon doing marketing. But honestly, I have always followed my passion, and in life I've realized there are no barriers, right? If you have done your bachelor's in design and tomorrow you want to move to marketing, or I want to move to sales, or even product management, if you have passion you can do it. So one message I give to all my friends and my people who are younger to me and they ask me for advice, I say, don't worry. Like, don't worry at all that you've studied law and you cannot now get into marketing. There is no such thing. If you want to do marketing, you can do it. Even if you come with a law background, you will have to make slow transition, like how I made slow transition towards marketing, but you can always do it.
That's such great advice. And I think gives people a lot of peace of mind if your career trajectory doesn't look as perfect and linear as you may feel like it needs to. That it can absolutely, you could zigzag, go forward,
Yeah.
backwards, sideways, spin around, do all the different things, and it's absolutely okay. I would love to hear some of your advice on how to make those transitions, or maybe how to really highlight your transferable skills when you are making those switches. And maybe if you have any examples like specifically for getting into marketing, if you have a sales background or a
Sure.
design background, what's the best way to go about that?
Sure. I think I'll give an example of how it happened for me. So, as I said, I was in the design field for about 8 years in India, and then I got an offer from a startup in India. So that startup was into furniture rentals, and I was doing interior design. So I met with the CEO, and I said that, you're doing furniture, which is great. You should do an entire curated experience. And he loved this idea, and I joined that startup. So this that startup was into furniture rentals and my expertise was into interior design, so that was a good, like a good foot in the door for me in a startup world. So I joined that a company and I was there for 2.5 years. That company taught me a lot about business, how to run a business, which I
Mhm.
knew in theory from my MBA degree, but I had never done it in practical. So I learned about running business, how to ask for funding and all of that. So that gave me an expertise into business. And over there, I was doing a lot of smaller projects, which were into launching new products, launching new experience, how to get new customers. So somewhere back in my mind, I was learning about marketing as well. It wasn't proper marketing, but I learned a lot about marketing. And then I made a big transition when I came to Amazon, where I took a role which was a mix of launching new products, merchandising, understanding customer segment sizing, doing a lot of deep dives. So I used my business skills and what I learned at my startup in Amazon as in my first role, which was very simple marketing role. And then I started learning more about marketing when I was at Amazon. So it was a gradual transition from design to getting into a business kind of role, which was generic, and then specializing into marketing. So I would say it always takes time to transition and you got to be patient. So if you're coming from, say, a sales background and you want to get into marketing, I would say find a sweet spot where there is a mix of sales and marketing in your role. So like at Amazon, we do have people who do both, like a good mix of both, where there is business development, where there's understanding what customer really needs and offering them that product, which is marketing. So it's there are always I would say roles in all the companies. I'm just not talking about Amazon, but all the companies where there will always be a good mix of both the skills that you want to use. If you're coming from a law background, there will always be a requirement of a legal advisor for the marketing team in big companies. So you can find that sweet spot and then slowly transition into marketing if you have to get, and this is just not for marketing, any other role like the product management or sales or vendor management or even analytics.
Yeah. Yeah, it's thinking. I always love this saying of like, think not what job you want to have next, but think 2 jobs ahead of like, okay, where do I want to be 2 jobs ahead? And like, what is the middle step into getting there? And I think
Absolutely.
what you said there is so perfect, of finding a job that will really, give you those skills that you need to then get that next piece. So, it has a little bit of marketing, or it teaches you business. And then when you're in that role, just hustling and learning as much as you can to help you with your next opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. You're so right. Yep.
Amazing. Yes. And you've done a lot of those little career transitions to all the different places that you've been in.
Yes.
I love that what you said there about you being the black sheep and just doing what you're passionate about, regardless of what others were saying. I think that's really brave. One of the other things you had mentioned to me that you're passionate about is always taking opportunities that knock on your door, not saying no, accepting the change. How has that mindset helped you throughout your career?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's great. So um again, I'll give you an example, and that's why I believe everything falls in the right place. So when I came to the US, I was looking for opportunities to again join a startup, right? Since I came from a startup experience in India, I was like looking for startup, and Amazon was somewhere back in my mind. So I was looking for startups which were related to design and art and everything. So there was a startup in Seattle. I found them on their website and then went and then started calling them, and there was no response. I said, let me go to their office and see if there's anybody. And I didn't know that they had closed the company. So I still went there. I knocked on the door. Nobody responded. And after third knock, I was just about to turn, and somebody opened the door, and they said, "Oh wow, welcome. We've closed the company, and but you can meet this person." So I met that person who that lady referred, and he said, "You know what? You should meet this girl who's starting the STEM subscription business." And I was like, I don't know anything about STEM. I don't know anything about how to sell subscription boxes. And he was like, no, she's alone and she would really benefit from you. And I said, okay. So I met with her, and she's like, yeah, let's do it together. I met with her, we were doing great, and then she wanted to pursue more about science and everything, so she shut down her business. But I got so much goodness from that business. I made contacts in Microsoft and in different consultings, and they gave me another job in Microsoft. So I worked with Microsoft as well for about 6.5 months in marketing. And that was a big change in my life. Like working for Microsoft for 6 months was a big learning experience. And from there, I got Amazon, which was like the dream come true for me. So I would always say that don't leave any door unknocked, don't leave any stone unturned. Go for it. Try it. Any door that opens will always open an opportunity for you for a larger good in future. So I believe I got Amazon because I knocked on that door.
Is that you literally knocked on the door, not even metaphorically, you were actually
I
knocking.
literally knocked on the door, and that's how I got this job. And same was my startup in India. I was like, I was looking for something new in my career, and I just went to this office, the startup office, and they were like, "Yeah, we would love to have you." And then it was just walking into that office, and I got that job, and I am that company is doing so good in India. So it's always
What
like,
What an
yeah,
amazing little journey. And yes, when you mentioned that was something that you believed in, I was like, metaphorically, she believes in knocking on and accepting the knock on the door. But I think it makes it 100 times better that it was actually a physical knock.
actually, yeah, yeah.
One of the things that's kind of going through my head is you're telling me, like, you seem incredibly brave making all of these really bold career moves and switches. And that the fact that you were able to like tell your family, like, no, I'm not going to do what you're telling me to do. I'm actually going to go do what I'm passionate about. I imagine took a lot of courage. And it looks like that's consistent throughout your career. Did you feel imposter syndrome jumping from these different career opportunities because you're kind of starting over every single time and you're learning new things? And if you did, how did you deal with that?
Oh wow, that's a good question. And as a woman, imposter syndrome is something that's so ingrained. And I always tell all my women colleagues and peers, like, how can we get over with this? Yes, we are good at everything we're doing. So you're so right. Yeah, I always had this imposter syndrome because whenever I was making this switch, I always questioned, will I be able to make it? And then luckily, I've got some people in my life who have always been supportive and have always encouraged and backed me. And I would say my husband has always backed me to say, no matter what, try it. And that's what I have uh, followed as a mantra in my life. Try it, no matter what happens. When I came to US, I was like, I want to start somewhere. I want to meet people and do something. So I joined a furniture retail company. I was a design associate. I used to stand in the store for like 8 hours a shift and like just talk to people, sell them furniture. And that is not something I would have wanted to do at that time of my life or that stage of my life, but I did it because that somehow taught me how to be in a different environment, which was so different from what I have learned, right? So no matter what I do, I have to take chances. I have to give it some time. It took time. Like Amazon, if I have to tell my Amazon story, I gave 18 interviews at Amazon before I got
What?
into I was rejected for more than 12 roles at Amazon
Wow.
because maybe my approach was wrong. Maybe my approach towards Amazon was wrong. So, but I kept on like, if you want to really do it, you have to keep going. Sometimes I did think I'm not an Amazon person, but but I wanted to know what is it that is missing in me that I cannot do it. So the passion that one thing I'm very persistent. Perseverance is the key. I believe you have to be persistent to be successful no matter what you do. Even if I have to be a good mom, I have to be persistent about it, like making sure my daughter is eating well, she's getting the right education, she's dressing well, she's her health is good. So in anything you do, you have to be persistent. So in order to fight the imposter syndrome, I think persistence and courage, two things always helped me. No matter what happens, I have to keep on doing it till I get it right. So, yeah.
What an incredible mindset to have about it. And I think what's going on in your head is you're like, there's not even like room or an option for, I don't want to say failure, but like you're just like, I'm gonna keep trying, I'm gonna keep trying, I'm gonna keep going. If I hear no, it's not gonna get to me. And I think one thing I notice a lot with a lot of girls that I've worked with that are younger, they're mid-20s and they're applying to jobs, and getting rejected sucks. It really hurts, and it's really hard not to take that personally. So I'm really curious to hear, how did you endure 12 rejections from Amazon and still show up for that 13th role?
Um, yeah, as I said, I kept on thinking, what's going wrong? Like, why am I getting rejected? Because every time I used to talk to people at Amazon, they always loved the passion I have, but somehow I was not getting through. So I kept on thinking, like, what is it that I'm missing? Yes, it was always disheartening. Whenever I got the rejection email or the rejection call, it was disheartening. But one thing that still kept me going was the belief that I can do it one day. Maybe the formula is not working. Maybe the roles I'm applying for is not working, or maybe the timing is not working. Because at that time, I think I was too broad in my search. Like I was too broad. Maybe I was not very clear what I really want to do or where my sweet spot is at Amazon. Because I came with a design background, so I was looking for roles which were into space planning and physical stores. Then I had vendor management skills. I was looking for roles which were vendor management, business development. I never thought of marketing because I always think my passion is about understanding customer insights and translating their needs into opportunities, right? So I never realized that myself. And then through the course of all these interviews, I realized that, oh, this is my passion and this is where my expertise will be used at Amazon. And then I started applying for the right roles at Amazon, which was into marketing. So somehow, and it was a learning experience, I would say, because when I joined Microsoft, then I realized that, oh, marketing is where my strength is. And that sort of guided me applying for roles.
Mm.
All this while I was very random and very broad in my search when applying for roles at Amazon. So rejections were disheartening, but I always took a step back to look at the opportunities, what I learned from that rejection. Was it the way I can like delivered my interview? Was it the role? Was it my resume? Was it the interviewer? Like, what was I missing? And I kept on um, like recording those those pain points, those insights, and then finally got to the final role. So I would say always take rejection as an opportunity to look for something that you have missed. So they can be disheartening, but take them positively. There's something better waiting for you. That's why you were rejected for this one, but the perfect one sits out there for you. So you're going to slowly get there.
That's, I think, some very encouraging words to hear if you're going through that rejection piece. I think the key thing I'm taking from you is that you didn't take it personally. Instead, you kept being like, you know, it's like a learning, like it's like, how can I get better for to get into this role, and not like there's something wrong with me. Not, and
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is they're like, oh, something is wrong with me, and that's why I didn't get the job, instead of like what you were saying of like, okay, maybe it's timing, maybe I didn't do great in my interviews, or how can my resume have been better, or am I applying to the right roles, am I being focused enough, how am I presenting myself in my applications? And I think those are such better questions to ask yourself. And that mindset that you have of just taking each one as like a learning opportunity and a lesson to learn, of that, after you said you did 18 interviews, it's a lot of data to have.
Amazon is all about data. That has taught me to be
Yeah.
data driven in every conversation. But yeah, so I applied for about 12 roles, and this was the 13th role that I cracked after 18 interviews. Yeah. Yeah.
Were you like laughing about that with your interviewer, or were you guys not talking about it?
Yeah, and now when I talk to my like larger team and I share my story, and then they tell me, and they are like surprised hearing that I was like, I gave 18 interviews at Amazon to finally get selected. I was like, wow, Amazon got you wrong for 17 times. And I was like, no, it's not the case. People laugh. People do laugh. Like now being an Amazonian for about 6 years, people do laugh that somebody would have been so passionate about Amazon. I was like, yeah, I
Yeah.
was. I
But
was passionate.
that's amazing to be able to bring that level of passion to a role and to a company. I imagine that is also what makes you really successful in your role, is that determination of like, I know that this is where I'm supposed to be, and I'm not going to stop until I get there.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I always adored innovation, and not just for Amazon, but like Apple and like big companies, like every even startups. And maybe that's more because of my background being more entrepreneurial, being more like startup-y. Innovation was where I wanted to be like going towards. So yeah, yeah,
And
Amazon hit the
so,
right one.
yes. So obviously you believe in 13th chances, but I know one of the things you mentioned to me is that you really believe in second chances. What are some times in your career where that has played an important role?
Yeah, throughout, I would say, as I was telling you, I've always taken opportunities that came to my way. I would say it's like people always think very, like I've seen people thinking very linear, that okay, they'll do this, then next step would be this, and then finally they'll get to that stage. And sometimes we overlook the other millions of opportunities that are around us coming in some or the other form. Um, like for example, when I was studying design, there were a lot of opportunities that came to my way, which was about visual design, like which was very different than what I was doing. I was doing more interior space design, and then there were opportunities about production design, about designing sets for movies and designing, for any art shoots and all of that. And I was like, should I really do it? Is this something that I want to do? And then I said no once, and then somehow it came again to me in a different form, and I took it up the second time, and that became the future of how I was thinking about my career. I never did shoots, I never did production design, but I took a choice. I did it once. And then sometime later in my career, I got a solo project to do a shoot for a big e-commerce company that was worth $1 million. And I was like, wow. Because I did that one shoot, I got that confidence of doing this $1 million project. So I always say that take a chance. Like if you get an opportunity, try it once. You might fail it for the first time. That's fine. You will learn a lot from it. And then when that opportunity comes again the second time, you will be successful. You will definitely crack it. Um, that happens to me in my personal life also. Like I always get stuck to like people, like, you know what, this is what I want to do, but it's like, do I really want to be with them forever? And then I was like, let me think beyond, let me take a step back and look at more people who would be willing to help me or who would be better fit. And then, yeah, that's how it works. That's how I found my husband. Always taking a
Aw.
second chance. Like, okay, no, I want to take a step back from my relationship and then look at people. And then, yeah, I found a better choice. So,
That is beautiful. Wow, Richa, you are inspiring me. Like I'm getting lots of energy chatting with you of just your whole mindset and perspective on your career and life, I think is incredibly inspiring. We've covered so much so far, but do you have any other advice for young women in marketing who maybe want to have a career journey like yours or have a job like yours in the future?
I would say just go for it. Like, you know, don't worry about what you think is right now, because one advice I always get from my mentors, because sometimes I also get very worried, oh, how will I do? I need a promotion, I need to get to this level. And one good advice that came to me from my mentor was, we look at our career and our success in a very short time span or a short time frame, that, oh, by 25 I need to do this, by 35 or by 50 I want to become a director. That's very short. Look at your career from a very long, or like a big, like a longer perspective. Think of what you really want to do when you turn 50 or 60, and then try to work towards it. Like how you said, think of roles two ahead of, you know, what you really want to do from now. So like skip roles, something very similar to that. Don't think small. Don't think that, oh, I want to get into marketing, I need to start with a marketing career. I wouldn't say that. Start with what you think is right for you at the moment, and then start working towards it slowly. Career is a very long journey. Slowly build it, I would say. Get to the point where you want to and enjoy the journey rather than just rushing to reach the destination of, oh, I want to become the marketing person. Maybe you start with like art director or a digital production person, or start with an analytics person and then get to marketing maybe, or you start with marketing and tomorrow you want to become like the sales director. Uh, so slowly carve out your journey and keep learning as it goes, and you never know, you would want to move away from marketing after 5 years and do something else because you've enjoyed marketing and you've now found a passion in something else. So always keep learning, keep your eyes open, and accept whatever is coming towards you.
What an amazing reminder. I think that's always good to hear is just slow down. And you're right. Like if you put it into perspective, you think about like where you want to be when you're 50 or 60, that gives you so much time instead of trying to
Yeah,
rush and like think that you're not good enough because you're not at, at some arbitrary mark that you feel like you should be at. That it's really thinking long term that's going to benefit you the most. And I just think that was such an amazing reminder. And you phrased that so well. So thank you.
my pleasure. It was amazing, Natalie. Talking about my journey again makes me rethink what I really want to do now. So thank you for reminding me about that.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I mean, I feel really inspired and I feel like we've gone over so much. So thank you for sharing your journey and your wisdom. I so greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm very happy to share my experiences with all of you.